Hello, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the CEO Sports Show for January 13th, 2026. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about the Steelers losing to the Houston Texans 30-6. Wow, what a score that was. And we're going to talk about what went on yesterday with Liam Cohen during that press conference with the reporter from the Jacksonville Free Press. Because I'm going to start the episode with that, to be 100% honest with you, because I have some things to get off my chest. I really do about that. And let's just start it off. First off, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe. I would greatly appreciate that. And without further ado, let's get into the episode. Lynn Jones for the Jacksonville Free Press, what she said to Liam Cohen the other day, credit to her for that. I like that a lot. And I see all these reporters coming out here slandering her for that. Why are we letting people in there that are just trying to be fans and all this other bullshit crap? I just want to say this, right? Since we're being honest for a second and you want to voice your opinion about Lynn Jones, let me voice my opinion about you. If you want to sit there and say that, well, what Lynn Jones did, she was wasting the other reporters' times. You know what I think is a waste of time? When there's reporters who don't know a damn thing about football that ask bad questions to coaches that people who actually know football don't get any information from. That's what annoys me. So if we're going to be honest here for a second, let's be real honest. There's a lot of reporters out there that don't know a damn thing about football that are in these press conferences asking stupid questions. So there's other people that are saying, well, her publication, she has bosses, this, that, and the third. You realize that this is one of the biggest stories in sports at the current moment. And the subscriptions for the Jacksonville Free Press probably went up big time. I think her publication is probably very happy with her. Not only that, we're acting like this reporter is a nobody. She's probably more respected than any of these reporters, these no-name reporters that nobody knows, that are coming out and being all upset about her for having a genuine moment. There's a lot of bad things that happen in this world. And for her to say that during that press conference, it made me feel good. It made a lot of people feel good. And what I don't like about the media people that are criticizing her for this, why do you ask these questions? Why do you publish articles? You publish articles for the consumers. The consumers are the ones that sit there and say, you want to know what? This is acceptable and this isn't acceptable, right? So if the consumers enjoyed that moment from Lynn Jones, who are you to criticize that? Because overwhelmingly, I think a lot of people out there were like, that was pretty awesome that she said that. And it made people feel good. Isn't that crazy? It drives me up a freaking wall that there are reporters coming out here saying that. I cannot stand it. Because like I said, there's a lot of reporters that ask stupid questions, that ask bad questions consistently. Every press conference, there's probably about 4 or 5 questions where I'm like, what the hell was that question? That question made absolutely no sense. She spent 27 seconds. She probably, that 27 seconds that she spent giving praise to Liam Cohen, that's probably less time than the stupid questions that some of these reporters ask, and these coaches have to answer some of these questions. So since we're being real honest here, let's be real honest here for a second. It's not like every one of these reporters know the game of football and provide insightful questions that we can get good answers from. The consumers that actually consume the content, that keep you in business, that read your articles. We're the ones that decide this is the content we want to see and this is the content we don't want to see. And overwhelmingly, people came in support for Lynn Jones. And quite frankly, that was good to see. And I'm so proud of Scott Van Pelt for going on ESPN and having her back. I mean, from I don't know too much about Lynn Jones. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I'm not too familiar with the Jacksonville area. But from everything I hear about this lady, she is as legit as they come as a reporter. And you'll have people who haven't even worked in the business half the time she's been in the business saying, this is unprofessional. Why is she allowed in these rooms? This, that, and the third. She is a much bigger figure in the community than you are. Since we're being honest here, because you wanted to be honest, you wanted to go on your social medias, you wanted to do all this stuff to criticize her. Let's be honest here. Since people like being honest with each other, and I feel like so many times people attack the individual and then say, it's just business. No, you're attacking somebody's livelihood. So let's be honest here. This woman is much bigger in the space than a lot of these reporters are. So that's just something I needed to get off my chest because it drives me up a freaking wall that this is even a thing. She spent 27 seconds expressing her gratitude towards Liam Cohen, who's one of the best coaches in the entire NFL, and coached a team in the Jacksonville Jaguars that were picking in the top 5 last year. He completely turned around that franchise. He is a massive part of the Jacksonville community now. The Jacksonville Jaguars are relevant now. It's because of Liam Cohen. He is great for the community. He is great for the economy of Jacksonville. People are going to want to come to Jacksonville to watch their teams play in Jacksonville. The surrounding businesses are going to be better because of Liam Cohen making this team relevant. And she expressed her gratitude for that. Good for her. Honestly, good for her. And shame on anybody that's trying to make her feel bad for that situation. Yeah, I get it. Is it the most journalistic thing? Whatever, quote unquote. Probably not. Who cares at the end of the day? It was 27 seconds of a press conference. Most answers, right? Like, she deserves to ask a question, right? She's been in this for 25 years. She's been doing this for a very long time, this woman. So she deserves the right to be able to ask questions in press conferences. So instead of asking a question, which she was entitled to do, I don't have a question today. I just want to express my gratitude. Good for her. Honestly, good for her. That made me feel good. That type of content is what I want to say. Because and to finish this off, you'll have reporters who ask, again, I'm going to say this again, you have reporters who don't know football, who don't know sports, who couldn't tell you how to attack a cover 2, who couldn't tell you what a mesh concept is. They'll go up there and they'll ask questions that make absolutely no sense. And then they'll go and criticize players, coaches, and not know what they're talking about. Again, we're being honest here. So I'm being honest. You want to be honest? You want to try and make somebody feel bad about themselves? How about you look in the mirror? I'm sorry. That I know we have a game to talk about, and we're going to talk about this game, but I just needed to get that off my chest. Salute to Lynn Jones. Seriously, I'm going to subscribe to the Jacksonville Free Press. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. Depending on the price, if it's like $20 a month, I'm sorry, I can't give you that much money a month. But if it's reasonable, I'll subscribe to the Jacksonville Free Press and I'll support her because that was an awesome moment. But moving on to the Texans and Steelers game, because that's what everybody came here for. Wow. What a performance from the Texans. The Texans defense is so damn good. Like when you look at the units in the NFL, when you talk about on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball, what unit do you trust more than the Houston Texans defense? They consistently show up week in and week out. And the offense for the Texans against the Steelers, they struggled. It was not a good performance from them. But the defense is so damn good that they're going to keep them in every single game that they play. And with the Texans, by the end of this game, when it rained, it poured. 23 fourth quarter points and they put a real beating on the Steelers in the fourth quarter. And when you look at units that can carry a team to a Super Bowl, I don't think that there is a unit that I have more faith in than the Houston Texans defense. On all three levels of the field, with the coaches on the sideline, they are an absolutely stacked unit. They're elite in all phases of defense, on all phases of their defense. And I don't think that there's anybody that wants to play this team. And when you look at the Houston Texans, their offense does not need to put up 30 points. And if they do put up 30 points a game, they're going to win the Super Bowl this year. Like, I'm just letting people know that if they have the type of offensive output when it comes to putting up 30 points on the board, they're going to win the Super Bowl this year, because there's nobody that I think is going to be able to put up 30 points on this defense. The Bills, I think, are the team in the AFC that I look at and I say they're probably going to win the AFC. But would it surprise me if the Texans played the Buffalo Bills and the Texans dialed up Josh Allen like they did earlier in the season? Would that surprise me? No, not at all. And again, like, you look at this offense for the Texans, was CJ Stroud particularly good? No, he wasn't very good in this game. I mean, you talk about he had 2 lost fumbles and an interception. He had 3 turnovers in this game. Doesn't matter, because when he needed to make plays, he made plays. And this defense is going to give you chance after chance after chance after chance. And eventually, their offense was able to put points on the board, and that really took them over the top. And like, when you look at the Houston Texans and their offense, right? Christian Kirk tonight, I thought was fantastic. 8 receptions for 144 yards. Awesome performance from him. They ran the ball effectively. I mean, 31 carries for 164 yards, 5.3 yards per attempt. I think that the formula for the Houston Texans is simple. Ball control on the offensive side of the ball, limit turnovers, even though they didn't do that tonight. I think the way they have to do this thing is ball control offensively, limit turnovers, and score in spots, because this defense is going to get you short fields. Like, that's what they're going to do. They're going to get a turnover that gives you a short field. They're going to consistently get stops on defense, and eventually they will get their offense in a good position to put points on the board. It is all about capitalizing on those opportunities. And will they be able to do that? I think if their defense is going to be in a position where they're only giving up 13 points a game, 13 to 17 points a game, yeah, I think the Houston Texans can win the Super Bowl. Right? Like, the only thing that I think is holding the Houston Texans back is potentially like a Josh Allen mega performance. Right? And like, we've seen that the Houston Texans have been able to stop Josh Allen. So I don't think that that's necessarily guaranteed that when the Buffalo Bills eventually play the Houston Texans, because I think the Texans are going to beat the Patriots. Like, I like a lot of what the Patriots are doing. A lot of respect to that team, a lot of respect to that organization. I just think the Houston Texans are a better football team than them at the current moment. That's just the way I feel. And if the Texans go and they beat the Patriots like I expect them to, and the Bills beat the Broncos like I expect them to, you know, the only thing holding back the Houston Texans would be a Josh Allen mega performance. That's it. That's the only thing I could see standing in their way. And am I even banking on Josh Allen having like a super performance against the Houston Texans? I'm not banking on that, because I wouldn't bank on that for any quarterback doing that. Like, Josh Allen's the best quarterback in the game. I'm not banking on him that he's going to go into Houston because that's where they would play that game, because Houston's the 5th seed, Buffalo's the 6th seed. I'm not sold that Josh Allen be able to go in there and put up 30 points on the board. And I'm not 100% sold that that Buffalo defense would be able to hold up against the Houston Texans offense. And I'm not over the hill about the Houston Texans offense. But do I think that they could put up enough points on the board? I mean, tonight they ran for 164 yards on the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think that the Buffalo Bills, their run defense is a lot worse than the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think that they can go into, they can play Buffalo, and they'll be able to run the football effectively on Buffalo. And that's going to be the key to winning the game. Keep Josh Allen on the sidelines. They have the run game that can do it, right? Like, I believe in the Houston Texans run game to do that. Or maybe I just have so much lack of faith in the Buffalo Bills and their run defense. So Like, I'm just over the hill on the Houston Texans. I just think there's so many good things about that football team when you look at the fact that their defense is as good as it is. It's as well coached as it is. And that just gives them a massive advantage over anybody in the AFC. Right? Like, I didn't think this game, even when it was 7-6, I knew that the Houston Texans were going to win this game the entire time. I had no faith that the Pittsburgh Steelers were going to be able to get the ball down the field and put 7 points on the board and take the lead against the Houston Texans. I never believed that. I was just like, no, it's just a matter of time. The Houston Texans are going to continue to play very sound football. And like, they're going to play New England next week. New England has not seen a team like the Houston Texans. They have not seen a defense like the Houston Texans. And like, to me, I think that's going to be difficult for Drake May. Like, I don't think Drake May was like amazing against the Los Angeles Chargers. And I think the Houston Texans have a better defense than the Los Angeles Chargers. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. I think the Houston Texans are going to win that game. I think they're going to the AFC Championship game. And I think that they're in a situation to where they're going to play the Patriots, younger quarterback, and yeah, put $2,000 on the Bills this week or more. If you do, might as well pay me or someone that needs it. No, I'm not betting $2,000 with you. Absolutely not. It's ridiculous. It is an absolutely ridiculous comment. Let's move on to the next topic, and that is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Tomlin needs to be fired. Like, I get it that Mike Tomlin has done a lot for the Pittsburgh Steelers organization. I got it. They've won. I mean, they haven't had a losing season with Mike Tomlin. They've been in the playoffs consistently with Mike Tomlin. They've won a Super Bowl with Mike Tomlin. But at the end of the day, is this about winning regular season games and getting to the playoffs? Or is this about getting over the top and winning Super Bowls? And do I think that just because they get rid of Mike Tomlin, that they'll automatically be a Super Bowl contender? No, I don't think that. I just think they need to start fresh. Like, I'm talking about like bringing a coach that's going to bring in a different personality to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like, revamp the personnel. Like, the personnel on this team, it's old. It's not really that great. They have a lot of things that they need to change from an organizational standpoint. And I feel like the Pittsburgh Steelers are in a situation where they are in purgatory because they're good enough to win enough games to get them into the playoffs, but they're not good enough to win a playoff game or two. I don't think the Pittsburgh Steelers have won a playoff game since 2016 or 17. That's not the standard for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers win Super Bowls. This is one of the best organizations in all of football. The standard is not being met in Pittsburgh. And somebody needs to be held accountable for that. And I get it. The personnel on the Steelers is not that great, right? I understand that, which is why I think it's not just a Mike Tomlin problem. I think they need to do more than just move on from Mike Tomlin. I think they need to revamp the personnel, and I think they probably needed to get a new coach that's going to bring in a different personality. Because here's the thing. Even though right now the personnel isn't good for the Pittsburgh Steelers, they've had teams that could win Super Bowls. Like they just did, the Pittsburgh Steelers. And they weren't able to do it. Those years with Big Ben, Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, they had a chance to win Super Bowls with those teams. And they weren't able to get over the top. So this isn't just a micro view and looking at this in a vacuum. I'm taking the macro view of this and saying, guys, this is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like, let me ask you this question. If Kyle Shanahan was the head coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers with that personnel, do you think they wouldn't be able to win at least one playoff game? And maybe that's going too far saying Kyle Shanahan because he is the best coach in the NFL, right? But like, Mike Tomlin's looked at as one of the best coaches in the NFL as well. That's the perception of him. I don't think he's one of the best coaches in the NFL. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers could do a lot better than Mike Tomlin at the current moment. Is he a floor raiser? Absolutely. And if the Steelers decide to move on from Mike Tomlin, he'll go to he'll go to Tennessee, he'll go to Arizona, he'll go to one of these other teams, and he'll raise the floor for that team. And they will be grateful for Mike Tomlin being there. But this is the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is not the Arizona Cardinals. This is not the Tennessee Titans. This is the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are defined by Super Bowls. They owe it to the league to be a great football team because the league is better when the Pittsburgh Steelers are a great football team. And they have not been a great football team recently. And is that because of Mike Tomlin? No, I don't think that that's completely the reason. But at some point, very much like the Ravens with John Harbaugh, it gets to a point where it's just like, we need a new voice. We need a new face to our franchise. And is there a possibility that they end up with a worse coach than Mike Tomlin? Yes, there's a possibility. Is there a possibility that they end up with somebody better than Mike Tomlin, who is more fit for the modern NFL? Yes. And you cannot live in the world where something you don't want to try and be better because you might get worse. That's never the way to think about things. I don't care if it's football. I don't care if it's business. I don't care if it's lifestyle. I don't care whatever it is. You cannot be afraid to be worse in an attempt to be better. And I think that's what the Pittsburgh Steelers need to do. This is a fantastic job. This is one of the premier jobs in football, the Pittsburgh Steelers. They will be able to find a head coach. Like, yeah, are they in a situation where they're going to have to find a quarterback? Yeah, it's an older roster. I got it. But like when you look at all of the things that come with being a Pittsburgh Steelers head coach, when you talk about job security, they're going to give you job security in Pittsburgh. You don't have to worry about that. They're going to give you talented rosters. You're going to have good rosters, right? Yeah, like it's an appealing job. And the market that it's in. Pittsburgh's a great market, and the Steelers are a great brand. It's one of the premier brands in sports. It's an appealing job opening. Like, yes, they need to figure out what they're doing at the quarterback position. I don't know if they have a great plan for next year when it comes to the quarterback position. I think they were looking at this year, and they were going to load up on guys like Aaron Rodgers and Jalen Ramsey and, you know, try and build that defensive line. And that's how they were going to build their football team and try and win a lot of games doing that. I think they looked at this from a micro view this season. And then after the season, we'll figure everything else out. And I think there's going to be a lot of decisions that are going to be made that need to be made by the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I think in the coming days, we'll see some of those decisions be made. And is it Mike Tomlin? Is it moving on from Mike Tomlin? Maybe. It absolutely could be moving on from Mike Tomlin. Because at the end of the day, if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, you cannot be in a situation where you're struggling to win playoff games. Because that's just not who you are as an organization. And I want to finish this off by saying this. You know, tip of the cap to Aaron Rodgers. If I'm going to be like a bit sentimental here, it was tough watching Aaron Rodgers walk off the field tonight. And the reason why it was tough is because right now in sports, there are two figures in sports that, you know, like really I look at and say, I grew up on that guy. Maybe I could go three figures in sports, to be 100% honest with you. And that's Aaron Rodgers, LeBron James, I guess I could say Kevin Durant, right? I could say Kevin Durant. And, you know, I kind of cherish those athletes. I cherish the Aaron Rodgers. I cherish the LeBron James. I cherish the Kevin Durants because those were guys that helped me fall in love with sports. And to be quite frank with you, sports has gotten me out of a lot of bad situations in life. It has gotten me out of a lot of bad spots in life. And it's always been something that I can lean on and find joy in. So Seeing Aaron Rodgers walk off that field tonight, knowing it's probably the last time he's going to be playing football, it hit me. It hit me a little bit. I didn't expect it to hit me like that because I kind of knew, like, hey, this is the end for Aaron Rodgers. But he's one of the greatest athletes I've ever seen play sports. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the position. He's one of the best players in football history. And he is a major part of my childhood. There were a lot of great moments. Now, granted, I am a Cowboys fan, so, like, there were some rough moments watching him play because he always beat the crap out of my team. But that's besides the point. There were a lot of great moments that I had watching the game of football because of Aaron Rodgers. And like I said, again, I cherished some of the athletes that I grew up on, and like they helped me love sports. Like I have a career in sports right now. Like I don't know if you guys know this. This is not my main page. Like the CEO Sports Show is not my main page. Main page. Like it's my main page for the media company that I'm running. But I have a TikTok called Cowboys Beat. That is my number one platform. That's how I make my money. But I have a job in sports. And the reason why I have a career in sports is because I love sports. And Aaron Rodgers is one of the reasons why I love football so much and why I love sports so much. So seeing him walk off the field tonight, looking as defeated as he did, that hit me. And if he wants to come back and play another season, I'd love to see that. I love watching Aaron Rodgers play, even in his older age. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think he's probably going to retire. I think he's 42 years old. It's time. It's time for him. And maybe it even hit me a little harder knowing that the quarterbacks that I grew up on, when you look at Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, Phillip Rivers, guys like that, Ben Roethlisberger, another guy. After Aaron Rodgers is gone, none of them are left. Like that hit me. Like none of the quarterbacks that I grew up on are going to be left after Aaron Rodgers retires. So him walking off the field, yeah, it hit me a little bit. And it's just so crazy to think about, right? Like it's so crazy to think about that all of the quarterbacks that I grew up like idolizing, looking up to, are now out of the league. And now we have a new era of quarterbacks. And the era of quarterbacks that we have now is great. And I love watching these guys. I love watching Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes play, and Joe Burrow and Herbert and Prescott and all these guys. Like I love watching these guys play football. But it doesn't hit the same. And the reason why it doesn't hit the same is because I don't idolize these guys, right? Like they're like my age. I'm 29 years old. Lamar is my age. Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, these guys are around my age. I don't idolize these guys. But I idolized Tom Brady growing up. I idolized Aaron Rodgers. I idolized Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, because they were larger than life figures. Because I was a kid and I was growing up and I was watching these guys. And it was just different than watching the quarterbacks now. Like, yeah, I got a ton of respect for these guys. I absolutely adore watching them play football because they're so good at what they do. But they don't have that same level of gravity for me that Rodgers and Brady and Manning and Brees, like, they just don't have that same gravity for me because I kind of just feel like, they're like one of the guys, right? Like when you're like the same age as me, I have a hard time idolizing somebody like that, right? Like I actually can't. I can't bring myself to idolize somebody that's my age, even like people that are close to my age. But the way I looked at Brady growing up and the way I looked at Rodgers and all these guys, I could do that because, Brady's 40, or I'm sorry, Rodgers is 42. I'm 29. So when I was, 10 years old, He was 23. He was in the league, right? Like, it's different then. Tom Brady, I think he's, 47? I'm 29. When I was 8 years old, he was, 25? Like, he was in the NFL, like top quarterback in the league. I want to be like that guy. You know, I get it. I'm probably boring you guys to death, but that kind of just came from the heart. And yeah, that was hard. That was hard seeing Aaron Rodgers walk off the field. But that's going to be it for the show. Thank you guys for tuning in. I will see you guys on the next episode. Peace.